Welcome back to the Buffalo Bread Podcast. Here with Dan again. Thank you, Dan, again for my brief hiatus while you managed with a cast of, dare I say, knuckleheads in my absence, who we very much appreciate for coming on the show. We are looking at the Bills returning from the bye, after a bye in Sean McDermott's time with the team. He is 8-0, looking to improve that as 9-0 on the road against the Carolina Panthers in a rare 1 p.m. kick. Dan, how we doing?
Doing good, sir. It's great to have you back on the pod. Following up on your thanks to our guest host, I just want to also offer my thanks to Cujo, Logan, Brandon. Appreciate you having on the pod. Less so Brandon. He was very braggadocious about his first place Patriots. Yeah. But Logan, Cujo, you guys are solid. We appreciate it. Can't wait to have you back on. Brandon, if your team keeps winning, we may not be friends anymore. So there is that, in fact.
Yeah, them's the breaks.
It was JJ, we've talked about it a bunch. We're fortunate to have a bunch of great guest hosts that just love football, love talking the sport, and they're always great when they come on, no matter what their rooting interest is. So it was great we had these three guys come on, but we're excited to have you back. Where do you want to start? We've got a bunch of stuff on the Bills bye you and I didn't get to unpack. We got a game against the Panthers coming up. Trade deadline imminent here in the first week of November. Lots of stuff to get to. What do you want to talk about, man?
Let's can we together, because we haven't had a chance to do this, can we dissect each side of the ball and then talk about some kind of pressing things about the timing of the season and cap commitments, those sorts of things. So you want to start with the offense?
Yeah, let's start with the offense, because that seems to be the topic du jour. What's the French word for topic of the week? Because du jour is of the day, we have been as a oh my God, the week. We have been absolutely obsessing over the ills of this offense. And I think, JJ, it's because this was not the side of the ball that was supposed to be the problem. We knew coming into the season, the defense was going to have its growing pains. It might take a little bit longer to come together. Lots of new young parts being installed into this defense. The offense was supposed to be where the continuity was. A couple of tweaks here, a little bit of oil here, but the machine of the offense was supposed to run as it was intended. In the past couple of weeks, JJ, against, let's just say it, teams with better dudes on the defensive side of the ball and teams that were pretty well coached, stymied this Bills offense. So I think that's a great place to start.
Yeah, and I think that the thing that I thought of, and I've been texting, I'll say to anybody that will listen, is that the everybody eats mentality only works if James is cooking, right? Like if James cooks, then everyone can eat. Nobody's eating if he's not cooking.
It's so good to have you back.
Right.
It's so good to have you back.
Well, we got these awesome pun opportunities. Why aren't we taking advantage of them, people? But it's absolutely true that if any time that the Bills this season have reserved him or held him out and not given him his touches, the whole offense grinds to a halt. It's 3 and outs, it's punts, it's turnovers while they're trying to force balls into triple coverage. They have to establish the run. They have to establish James Cook in the passing game, or there's just not going to be anything happening. And so in terms of the buffet line, I don't even think Kincaid stands in front of James Cook, because the importance of getting James Cook moving is what's going to bring those 12 personnel, 2 tight ends on the field, seam balls open, where a safety or a linebacker is so afraid of the run that they vacate some space and then Kincaid can fill behind them. Like that is just the reality, is unless Cook is crushing it, the offense isn't going to move anywhere. And that is a critical component that the Patriots exploited. They sold out to stop the run, and the Bills couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah. What do you think their hesitance is in getting him more involved in the passing game? That opportunity was there against the Falcons, and to a large extent, it was there against the Patriots too. As were the play action opportunities, which I feel like we need to unpack as well a little bit. But is it some of the higher profile drops Cook has had over the past few seasons? Like, he has legitimately dropped like 3 or 4 touchdown balls, but he's also a guy who's proven he can get a ton of separation in the pass game too. He's elusive with the ball and without the ball in his hands. He's a plus route runner for a running back. Is it the drops? Is it they're worried about the wear and tear? Like, why aren't they involving Cook more in the passing game out of the backfield, do you think?
Just my opinion is that it's twofold. It's one, his route running is it's good. We know it's good, but it might not be ideal. Like they're seeing things in practice that are discouraging them from using him in pass concepts, more significant pass concepts. What we know from Cook is he's awesome at dump downs and he's good at wheel routes. I haven't seen him do more than that. Like I've not seen him do a sideline whip. I haven't seen him do a kind of a short in or a slant type of concept. So it might be that he's kind of limited with the tree of options, and that they want to do some different things in complexity wise. And then the other thing is he's a small and he's a thin bottomed kind of dude. I wonder if it's just the matter of, okay, those kind of dump offs and things over the middle, especially if Josh is pressured, can be, get your wide receiver lit up kind of routes. And I think they're maybe more worried about the wear and tear, not from a too many snap standpoint, but from a types of collision standpoint. When he's running the ball, he's in control. If he's waiting for a ball to arrive, he might get cleaned out.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. It's just, for the life of me in that Falcons game, I couldn't figure out, especially when Palmer goes down, when for whatever reason we are sacrificing Keon Coleman play after play to the press god that is AJ Terrell. Like you're effectively down a couple of your weapons. I could not figure out why when they were blitzing so hard. There were points where there were 11 Falcons in the box. Why you're not leaking out Cook
and take advantage blitz with the ball.
I know, dude. And to your point about route concepts, in that particular case, when you're looking for that hot route on the blitz to counter the blitz, it doesn't need to be necessarily an exotic route, right? It just needs to be something that takes the pressure off your QB immediately and gives them an avenue to throw the ball out quickly. That's really like they can scale up Cook however they feel like they want to in this past game. I want them to start where they were 2 years ago, right? I mean, let's just get back to those type of basic things.
Yeah.
But they seem reluctant even to do that. Rigidity is the word that comes to mind when they feel like they have typecast their talent in certain roles because Keon is 6 whatever, 2 whatever, and has the vertical leap that he has. He must be the X, even though we know his route tree, his route stems and all that lean more towards power slot. Shakir is a little bit tinier, must be the slot. Dalton Kincaid, we're only going to use him on 49% of passes because we don't think he can hold up body-wise and the blocking that we need him to do. I mean, it just feels like we're not letting our guys do what they are best at in service to a scheme that doesn't seem to maximize what anyone is best at.
Yeah, no, I think that there was a Buffalo Rumblings author, I forget the author's name, so I apologize for that, but who said Joe Brady coaches from a place of pure hubris, and I think that is absolutely true. It's a little bit of why Ken Dorsey didn't work out here. It's this sense of like my scheme is good, they just need to execute it, right? Instead of I have these players, let's put them in the best position to succeed. It's I know what route concepts should look like. I know what the design of the play should be, and they just have to get it done. Well, they're not getting it done. You got to adapt at that point. You got to change it up.
Well, and the stuff that got Dorsey fired, like the running mesh routes 80% of the game and having 3 guys in route concepts end up in the same place. When you look back at Bill's film, that is happening again over these last 6 weeks, even the games that they have won. A lot of the complacency, a lot of the predictability of the Dorsey scheme is now eking its way into Brady's play calling as well. I mean, this is a team that when they're in shotgun is passing 80% of the time. If you know, as an opposing defense, 8 out of 10 potential snaps out of shotgun, the Bills are going to pass it, you're going to play those odds and you're going to guess right. When Josh is lining up under center, they're not doing play action out of center, and they're running the ball at about a 70% clip when Josh is under center. Again, if you're an opposing defense, I'm going to play those odds, right? And they've seen these mesh concepts before. Last year, it's the exact same concepts we ran. Opposing defenses, they appear to be more ready to take away the space they know these wide receivers ultimately covet on the Buffalo Bills. I mean, it's not just about personnel. To me, it's about the reliance on aspects of the scheme that other teams, because they have coaches that get paid to stop you, are clearly honed in on and are clearly ready to stop game in and game out.
Do you have a sense? Is it your opinion that this is a failure, the offense specifically, play calling? Is it a failure of Joe Brady's scheme, decision making, and actual play calling, or are you of the conspiracy theorists that say that Sean McDermott wants to cover up his porous defense and is demanding a ball control 15 play drive type of offense, and that's hamstringing Joe Brady's play calling flexibility?
I don't think it's the latter. I don't buy into the McDermott conspiracy theory. I'm not smart enough. I've watched a lot of football, but I'm not smart enough to tell you in an overarching way how good or bad a scheme is. I do, however, understand trends, and I do understand sequencing. And I know within Brady's call sheet, he's got a lot of really fun stuff formation wise that he's been rolling out. And I know that there are wrinkles in that play sheet that he could be adding to each of these formations. We talked about it. Shoot, dude, that first play against the Falcons, how long have you and I been asking for early down play action shots deep down the field to Palmer or to Coleman out of heavier personnel?
Deep digs out of heavy personnel. Well, and you're absolutely right.
And it happened in that one play. And that's the only time it happened, right?
It did. This reminds me, now follow me, and you're probably going to laud me with all the praise that you usually do for my analogies. This reminds me of me early on playing Tekken 2, wanting to get to like the 17 button combination super combo, but not recognizing the facts that my skills wouldn't allow me to complete the 4-button combo, right? Like you're like, I'm going to do the like super dragon backflip kick thing, but you just don't have that capacity yet. And that feels like Joe Brady's call sheet. He's got these like 17, hit combos, but he's not able to complete the 3-hit combo that you have to build on to get there. And so he just keeps mashing the buttons, and it's sometimes as effective and sometimes not, but he's never actually able to unlock any of the super ultra combos at the end because he just doesn't have the capacity. Either his players don't, he doesn't, or both.
I will say this. Brady has not been a play caller in the NFL for a very long time, but we said this about when he was first hired. He's a guy who designs really good run concepts. He got a lot of credit as the passing game coordinator at LSU, because there was, I think like Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, but like he's never, even in Carolina, for his short stint as an offensive play caller there, he was never able to scheme for specific guys. He came up with these overarching concepts that he asked his players to fit into. And I think what you have here is in Buffalo is the opportunity without a Stephon Diggs, without an alpha wide receiver, one in that wide receiver room. You've got the ability to do concept over scheming to specific talent. But I think we've seen how thin the margins are once opposing defenses start to adjust. We clearly see that there needs to be a ball winner. There needs to be a dude that steps up and calls for it when the time comes, but none of them want to do that in sort of service to the rest of the guys in the locker room and their perception of what the scheme and the concepts are.
Right. Well, and I think to add to that also, the fact that teams are either loading the box or just blitzing Josh Allen mercilessly, and that Joe Brady hasn't found alternatives to either of those realities. That's how Atlanta and the Patriots in 2 consecutive weeks were able to beat the Bills. Yeah. They just sent the house at Josh whenever they were, in a situation where they felt they could, and they sold out to stop the run on early downs because the Bills have 79% of first downs are runs for the Bills.
It's insane.
Which is just so predictable. Like I used to defend a lot of the play calling with Joe Brady last year because they'd be like, "That's so predictable," but he was scoring it at a record-setting rate, so it was working. James Cook was regularly above 4 yards per carry, and it was like, wow, why break it? Right? It works. But this year, what's silly is James Cook is still 5 yards per carry average, right? Like he's still crushing it. But the first down runs have been less and less successful after the first 4 weeks against inferior opponents, minus the Ravens.
Yeah. Without a doubt. And I think teams not only, I mean, the point you bring up about the blitz is so key, but the fact that the Bills are facing more man coverage in general has also been something that has led to, I think, a degradation across the board for a lot of our pass catchers. Like you look at a lot of their numbers from last year, right? Man versus zone splits. Khalil Shakir is a great example, right? Yards per route run, 2.4 yards last season. We know he's not a huge man beater, but man, he was good in zone, right? This season, yards per route run, identical man versus zone, 1.9 yards to 2.1 yards, almost identical. And both a reduction from last season, mostly because Shakir is facing more man coverage at this point from opposing teams. Teams have just said, listen, your dudes can't beat our dudes on the outside. Your dudes can't beat our dudes on the slot unless it's Dalton Kincaid creating a mismatch. There's just no real physical mismatch opportunities for Brady to play with at this point. So when he rolls out the same mold of what he rolled out last year, teams are not countering with man, more blitz concepts. He doesn't have a lot of answers because I think in part there are not a lot of answers personnel wise.
Yeah, I think to those people who are like, oh my gosh, can the Bills get something done at the trade deadline?
I don't think
there's nothing, right? Like there's nothing out there. Like no teams are giving up assets that are quality young pass catchers, and we don't need another washed old receiver.
Too many teams are still in it at this point too. I mean, that's the problem. Even a team like the Saints, who everyone thinks because they're 1-6 or whatever they are, they're going to start selling that squad for parts. But Kellen Moore has them playing really hard behind Spencer Rattler. Brandon Staley has come up with some really funky defensive schemes there. That's a coaching squad that's going to have patience from ownership. They're going to be able to do kind of build what they want to build there. And they're eventually either going to see what they have with Tyler Show or Shuck Show. What's his name?
Shuck.
Is it Shuck? They're going to see what they have with Tyler Shuck, or they're going to be in the Cade Klubnik lottery for next year, right? Either way, they have Olave already committed on his 5th-year option, and Rashid Shaheed says he wants to stay in New Orleans, even if it's on a team-friendly deal. If I'm Kellen Moore, I'm like, I want those two guys as weapons for whatever new young rookie QB I'm going to be rolling out here.
Right.
There's just not a ton of incentive unless you're willing to give up premium draft capital for the Saints to trade any one of those guys.
Not to mention that anyone who has actual skill on one of those flailing teams that you're able to get is only going to be a rental, because the Bills they just paid Shakir, they just paid Bernard, they paid a lot of players who are absolutely trash so far this season. And so, not to say Shakir is, I think that he's the one exception, but Bernard's looked terrible. Benford's looked terrible.
Listen, Shakir's underlying metrics are not great this season. His catch rate's down. We already talked about yards per route run. That's down. His average depth of target is down. He's pretty much just a screen target at this point.
His EPA per play looks good as an outside receiver, but it's because he has like 100 of his 110 yards after the catch.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, I mean, and not to take that away from him, that's a skill that I don't think anyone really expected, but he's amazing at. But it's a matter of like, it's not real life. Like any of his positive metrics are kind of inflated erroneously. All that to say, I'm worried about the offense. We have to see what they look like coming out of the break, and then also, the Chiefs is going to be another real test. And I think that I, for one, I'm kind of in camp lose to the Chiefs if it means that you're not showing too much and like that they don't seem expertly prepared for you once you meet them in the playoffs, because that just feels like that's the way it's been every season. Is the Bills lay it all on the line to beat the Chiefs during the regular season, don't end up getting the 1 seed when it matters, and then see the Chiefs in Arrowhead and the Chiefs have all the answers.
That's the conspiracy theory that Brandon and I indulged with a little bit, is that the Bills offense sucks so bad right now because they don't want to show anything to the Chiefs. They're doing what the Chiefs typically do, which is don't show anything during the regular season, make everyone everyone into thinking that you suck. And then all of a sudden Andy Reid is rolling out some crazy stuff. But listen, the Chiefs, like, Andy, God,
the difference is Andy Reid has the ability to do that. The Bills coaching staff has never proven that they can.
Because his playbook, unlike Brady, is endless with all of those variations on all of those same multiple formations we talked about. But his ability to tap into those and evolve those is endless. I mean, JJ, this is a team that the Kansas City Chiefs that didn't have a run game for the first 3 or 4 games they played this season. Then all of a sudden, this second half of games that they have played to get themselves to a respectable 4-3 record, they're averaging 150 yards per game. What does Andy Reid do the minute his run game shows up? Spams play action into the playbook. Patrick Mahomes over the last 4 weeks is a top 5 QB in play action pass rate, right? We have arguably the best offensive line and the best run game in the AFC, and Josh Allen's play action rate is 21st in the league. Like, that's always, what are you hiding? Right? Yeah. I mean, that's my question for people that are like, Brady's just hiding stuff. He doesn't want to show anything. No. What do we think he realistically has to show?
There's nothing. I mean, there's nothing. I think that, the thing, a friend of mine was like, hey, what's this weekend's look like with, a casual football fan was like, what's this weekend look like for the Bills? And I was like, well, the 3 players they're getting back might not play or might play in small amounts. They're probably not in football shape quite yet or game shape. Hairston's a wild card, probably may not get any snaps, and if he does, it's going to be by committee.
God, I hope he gets snaps.
Yeah, I hope he does too. Right. Gosh, we need somebody. But with all that, the thing I said was like, there's no secret here. Joe Brady's never actually designed a really good passing concept
anywhere he's
in a game. He had Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. You don't actually need to do anything when those are your outside wide receivers, when your outside wide receivers are both generational talents, right? Like you don't need to be awesome at planning or scheming guys open, because we've never seen it. We've never seen it in any of his time taking over for Dorsey or being the standalone OC last year and this year so far. Is a concept where we're like, oh my gosh, that was perfect, and it was all his plan to scrape or get that guy free. There was a couple of balls here and there to Kincaid, Hawes that looked like that, but looking back at those with all 22, most of it was blown coverage. It was people who were supposed to be chasing and fell down. It was a pick play in some regards that worked successfully because the player was picked by his own teammate. It was not as much, oh wow, that was a brilliant concept. The defense was left choosing between multiple, really good looking routes. No, it was pretty much they got lucky. So we haven't seen it yet, and unless he finds a way to develop that, I don't see a lot happening with this offense. If they're not able to pivot off of what they've been doing and adapt, they're going to continue to look terrible.
Yeah, I mean,
with Josh Allen, which is just crazy.
Crazy to think about, right? Yeah. I mean, Josh is on pace for his lowest average yards per attempt of his entire career. That is insane. He is at his physical peak, and like more and more and more, we're asking him to look just beyond, or in a lot of cases, just behind the line of scrimmage for a lot of his completions. Like I mean, the time to roll out this super secret playbook that actually schemes for a wide receiver one would have been when we still had Stephon Diggs. But listen, this team was too busy making the point that they could have won without him, right? To send him a message and then ultimately ship him off. And then they haven't had anyone of that caliber in the wide receiver room since he left, right? But again, even when Brady had DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel and Carolina, like it was a bunch of guys that clearly very different talent levels with stat lines that were almost exactly the same because of the scheme that Brady was running. Concepts over over maximizing core talent, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, listen, even if we get Chris Olave is so good because he's a natural separator, but Kellen Moore moves him all over that formation. He only plays about 50% or so of his snaps on the outside. Do we have the confidence that if we give Joe Brady a Chris Olave, he's going to use him as creatively across the formation as Kellen Moore is and maximize those talents? I'm not confident about that.
No. Well, and I think that one of the most disappointing things about Keon Coleman we're both disappointed in his usage. We're disappointed he doesn't move around. I have a suspicion that it's not because the scheme is poor. I think it's because Keon Coleman is poor. I think he is such a limited route runner that his snaps from anywhere other than his one position are confusing for him. Like that, and that's, just from watching him, and so many people are like, oh my gosh, the fades or back shoulder balls to Keon Coleman, that ain't it. You have to understand that his route tree, when you look at the advanced metrics or the charts that they show that track the actual player movements, it doesn't automatically mean that all he's getting are fade balls on the outside. Some of that's where he is when the ball reaches him. Doesn't mean he was where he was supposed to be. Right? Yeah, it looks like a back shoulder. It looks like it, but it might have been a comeback that he just didn't complete the route. It might have been an in break that he just didn't get to the spot he was supposed to. And so I just, there's a lot of criticism on Joe Brady, even Josh Allen in some regards about, not setting up Keon for success. I just think he's bad. Like, that's my opinion so far into these 6 games of his second year in the league. I think that it was a miss, and not that there was anyone in that class where the Bills picked that I think is like an absolute stud that they could have had. I don't think Xavier Worthy is like exceptional. I think he's very, very fast.
He's got like a 59% catch rate. Bills fans would be killing him as a body catcher, which we knew he was coming out of the draft.
Right. And that's what I'm saying is at that point in the, at that point in the draft, none of the wide receivers that the Bills traded out of position to grab or the receivers taken immediately after Keon Coleman seemed to be moving the needle at this point in their career either.
I'd say one exception would be Ladd McConkey.
Oh yeah. That's that. There you go. But that's the thing though, is the Bills pick Ladd McConkey. Do they use him appropriately, or is he always in a position where he's fighting through trying to be some kind of receiver he's not because the scheme's not great for him?
Yeah. Man, oh my God. All right. I'm not ready. I'm not as out on Keon as you are. I'm not ready to put him in bust territory yet. Listen, I do think it's concerning because wide receiver is a position where early on in a player's career, you really do see how good they are. Like, it does not take long for a lot of wide receivers to gear up and start playing at a top level in the league. Keon, yes, I'm concerned with how long it's taken to really see what he has to offer, but I'm not ready to be completely done with him yet. Here's what I am ready to see. I'm ready to see him not be the wide receiver that gets the majority of our snap share. I'm ready to see him be the wide receiver that does not get the majority of the targets from Josh. And I am ready to see him move around the formation. Even if his route tree is still so simplified, I wouldn't mind seeing him in the slot and see how many slants he can run on back-to-back dropbacks, right? Like it's like at some point, and we know Josh likes this, he likes a big body target in the middle of the field that can square up, show numbers on a route, right? And give him a good target. Keon can do that, right? I mean, those are the things I'm ready to see. I'm not yet ready to say though that Keon is a bust, but talk to me again after the Kansas City game and Xavier Worthy lights us up for 150 and 2 TDs.
Right. Then you might be talking different.
Oh, I'll be screaming different. I'll be mad. And I'll go from, I don't know anything about scheme to here's the scheme I would run, JJ.
Here's exactly the scheme and why they stink at it.
Well, listen, man, it can't be all negative. It can't be all negative. We got to talk about a positive. And that positive is Dalton Kincaid. And despite the fact, okay, this is going to be a backhanded compliment. Despite the fact that Joe Brady is only using Dalton Kincaid on a checks note sheet, 49% snap share. Criminal.
It's absolutely criminal.
All right. He is, according to ESPN analytics and their open scores, he is the number 3 most effective pass catcher in the league. So I love ESPN open scores because it's like this cool aggregator where they will take yak, they'll take your ability to get separation, they will take yards per route run and your catch rate, and they will blend it into this comprehensive aggregated rating about where you stand as a pass catcher. And he is number 3 according to those scores. He is, dude, an insane 2.9 yards per route run, tied for 4th in the league. And his average separation versus both man and zone is over 3.3 yards. It's, dude, the average for the league, just for context for our listeners, 3 yards, you are considered very open. 2 yards, you're considered restricted. Anything less than 2 yards, you're considered covered very tightly. He is regularly averaging versus any type of coverage over 3.3 yards of separation. It's amazing. And his catch rate has gone from less than 49% last year to 83% this year. Like, he's doing everything we thought he would do, and he's literally doing it with half the snaps of a lot of other guys in the room. It's insane, this talent. And you could see how much they missed him in that Falcons game too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I think that it's, the biggest concern is Kincaid, has not been a player that's proven he could stay healthy. And so you hope that this is the difference, right? Like, you hope the new strength and conditioning coaches are able to, the previous regime may have been fired specifically because of Kincaid. Because it was such a disappointment that he had a poor season after such an incredible rookie showing. And then it's found that he had, been battling an injury all year. So, we'll see, how it goes from here. I think that if he can stay on the field, the Bills are in excellent shape. Injuries, man, it's always a story, and it's a huge story for the offense right now. It's a big story for the defense in a lot of ways. And, you just hope that enough of these guys can return by the end of the season to, make a push if they can get there and wrestle back the first, position in the AFC East from the Patriots, which sounds crazy, feels crazy, right?
But God, it sucks being back in 2017, doesn't it?
I know. Yeah. I should be buying some stocks though.
I know, right? The Colts are good. The Steelers are good. The Patriots are good. It's wild times to be alive.
Right. Yeah. But I think Kincaid's a bright spot. Back one more kind of dark mark though. Josh Allen deep passing. What are your opinions of it?
It's bad, and
and I miss it.
I miss his ability to do it. And I mean, listen, it just looks so much easier for guys. Jalen Hurts, who is a QB who is regularly questioned for his passing prowess. I mean, just having Devonta Smith and AJ Brown to throw to just makes it look so easy, right? Like, Dak Prescott is having an MVP season throwing moonshots to George Pickens. And don't get me wrong, he's doing way more than that. Dak is literally, for my money, playing the best out of any QB in the league. And I would include Patrick Mahomes' recent offensive resurgence in there. Dak
looks great.
Playing out of his mind, right? So to me, I struggle because, like, Josh doesn't have a downfield ball winner.
Right.
But even when he still had Diggs, you kind of saw some of the chinks in the Josh Allen bombs it downfield with reckless abandon, and it always works type of armor.
Yes.
And I think we easily blame personnel, and we blame like the lack of having that deep downfield X typical threat, right? I mean, even Stephon Diggs, he was able to win downfield because of his route running and his speed. Josh has never been a first read guy. When you look at FTN, FTN has a great stats hub where they will actually break down first read, second read for a lot of QBs. It's an amazing stat hub to go through. And that particular stat is very enlightening because Josh, going all the way back to 2020, his breakout season, he only goes to his first read about 48% of the time, right? Josh has always shown that he needs to see guys separate. And think about when his deep ball was the best. He had a guy like John Brown, and John Brown was an amazing separator down the field. Why did the Bills go after Josh Palmer? Despite the fact that we were all like, he's like the fourth best wideout in LA, right?
Right.
Because they thought he could win with separation downfield.
Yep.
My whole point to land this plane and bring it home is that I think part of the problem is Josh, right? Like, the way Josh doesn't throw a lot of guys open.
Dan, how dare you? As a
I'm
member of Bills Mafia to cast aspersions and claim that Josh Allen is not a perfect angel who does every single thing right in a football game?
He's an amazing QB, but dude, like, he's if he doesn't immediately see separation on his first read downfield, like he checks off of it. That's been him in his entire career.
And I'm being facetious because I just think it's so funny that anytime you try to have a rational conversation with another Bills fan, specifically online, right? And you're like, wow, Josh turned down these 4 different throws on third down that would have been first downs, gunslinging for something better or different or bigger, or was way off target when that would have been a surefire walk-in touchdown, you get absolutely blown up. People, you can't claim the savior as anything but pure, right? Like,
I know, but
he's making mistakes though. He is.
And that's the dichotomy that I've seen with him this season. He is either too hesitant to throw the deep ball in moments where it would open the game up early, or late in games, he's hunting for the big play and still not seeing that separation and chucking up balls to Keon Coleman in the end zone that have no hope of being caught. It's either one or the other. His deep ball game is definitely off. Part of it is for sure personnel, but part of it is just the way he approaches generally his passing game.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. I think I'm tired out about offense, man. Like the doom and gloom. I'm just too doom.
I know it's a lot of doomerism right now, but for good reason. I mean,
we should probably talk about the super bright spot, which is the Bills' top of the. Oh wait, no, never mind. They're bottom of the league. Terrible defense.
Yes, we should talk about that. I mean, listen, the 4-man pass rush. It's okay. It's better than it's been in a few years, right?
Yeah.
It's just not working in tandem with our coverage. That is a slight bright spot.
Dude, listen, it is only the 4th slowest in the league time to pressure defense at 2.8 seconds. And they're tied for 6th worst at their get off at the snap. I mean, come on. Who needs better than worst 10 in the league?
Hey, who's that big tackle from Kentucky in the middle of the defense who you didn't want to draft, who's literally playing out of his mind? You want to chat about him? He is a bright spot.
Deion Walker. I for anybody listening, I promised pre-season that if he was awesome, I would hand draw a card of Josh Allen and Deion Walker walking into the sunset across the field of flowers and send it to One Bills Drive.
You should.
I still will do that. I said by week 4, but then there was like a little bit of an injury thing, and he was in and out a little bit of the lineup, and then he didn't have a great supporting cast. So I'm giving him that extra space. But he so far has impressed and proven me wrong, and I'm okay with being wrong. I do it quite often.
Listen, in fairness, and I'm not just saying this because we're friends, right? Like, you're not 100% wrong about him. Like, he is high variance. There are still run reps where he gets blown out of his cleats because he's so big.
He's too tall.
Sink.
Plays too tall.
He just can't sink in the way that you need him to, right? He can only bend at the waist.
Yeah, I mean, he has no hips. He has no flexibility below his hips.
That's right. He should get on the TB12 method for sure. That's all about hip pliability.
Right.
But within that variance, you're seeing the high-end splash plays that you want to see out of a young player that continues to give you hope in their development and allows them to still contribute on the field. And it makes that low floor for them in the variance model a little bit more tolerable. So we're seeing that out of him for sure.
Yeah, I've been impressed. I mean, there are some plays that he turns in that you can say if he just is able to develop his pass rush and his run stuff in directions towards the flashes he's made, he's going to be a top 15 defensive tackle in the league, no doubt, in 2 or 3 years, because there are things he does that are unexpected from any defensive tackle. He has split some double teams, which is basically the hardest thing to do in the NFL for a D tackle, and made plays after the split. And then he has also shown some kind of inhuman speed for a giant person such as himself at different times. So I think the biggest thing for me, I'm impressed with his hand fighting. Like, he has better than expected, hand fighting abilities at this level, and has had winning reps. Even if he didn't, make a splash play after, he's had winning reps with hand fighting against some really, really talented guards and centers, which you love to see. Like, that's another feather in his cap. If he can build on that again, with consistency, he'll be a very, very good player. I think that. So if we're looking at the coordinators, Joe Brady so far this season, C-, D+, like, you're showing up to games seemingly unprepared. Bobby Babich, B-. He tends to put a good half together with what we could consider inferior talent on the defensive side and some injuries issues that are kind of piling up. Taylor Rapp's been playing hurt. He's probably going to be out now. We're going to see the shell of Jordan Poyer on the field probably this weekend.
Is Jordan Hancock on the injury report? Why are we not seeing
Isn't Jordan Hancock?
Dorian Strong's on IR.
Dorian Strong's the one who's like, they're worried about him having a career-ending injury.
Yeah. But Hancock's healthy, right?
Hancock
check the injury report.
Yeah, you go ahead and check that, but I'll continue talking about the Babbage situation.
Yeah, Hancock's not on the injury report. Keep going.
That's a I like that. He tends to be able, he does much better, I believe, in adapting and adjusting at the half or at the end of a quarter. So, his variance is wide, but he has tended to figure out teams in a way that puts the Bills in position to win games late better than I think Joe Brady has.
Mm-hmm. I think that's fair. And like Brady, there are personnel questions about what is the problem. Is it personnel? Is it scheme? Is it a mix of both? Let's hone in on some of that personnel. We talked about the plus side on the defense with Walker. Let's talk about some of the not so plus guys though. And I want to start with linebacker play. JJ, here's my hot take. This defense is better when Shaq Thompson and Dorian Williams are the starting linebackers. True or false?
100% true.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll add to it. I think that the way that the front four has played on the defensive line has created a situation where more interior offensive linemen on the opponents are getting to the second level, and they have been gobbling up the size linebackers of Milano and Bernard, where they haven't been able to scoop up Dorian Williams and Shaq Thompson as much because they're a little bit bigger, a little bit more traditional sized linebackers. And so that's really, if DaQuan Jones is not in the game, the second level other than Thompson and Williams is at a disadvantage because the defensive tackles are more penetration style and they've been letting interior linemen get to the second level.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of thoughts amongst Bills Mafia that Bernard is simply playing hurt, but I mean, they're also playing a style of defense and base, selling out to stop the run that Bernard's just not built for. He's a coverage linebacker. That's his game, right?
His long and late downs, third and long downs, Bernard is the exact person you want on the field, but you don't want him sticking his nose in there with in a three linebacker set on 2nd and 4. He's never going to be the person to, unless he gets an absolute clean line to the football and can shoot a gap. He's not going to stack and shed a block and kind of muddy it up.
And Shaq Thompson is a talented veteran with great instincts. And and again, this is why a lot of people think Bernard is hurt. At his age, still looks like a step or two quicker than Bernard does.
Yeah.
And then we know Dorian Williams is an athletic freak. And honestly, Williams playing next to a guy like Thompson, to me, lets those guys specialize. Like Thompson is kind of your everything field roamer. We know he can fit the run. We know he's passable in coverage. Dropped a pick 6 against the Falcons, right? Because he's got those great veteran instincts. Just let Dorian Williams hunt at the line of scrimmage, right? Which is what we know he does best. Williams looks way more comfortable playing next to Thompson than he does playing next to Bernard. And I don't think that's a coincidence.
Well, and I think anybody watching the way that Matt Milano has played at all this season could tell you that I think that's it. Like, I don't think he's going to find very many suitors in free agency. And I think the Bills kind of saw the writing on the wall when they shortened his contract and gave him a pay cut. I think he's just done. He has been injury prone his entire career, but he's at the point where it's too many.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, at some point, your best years are behind you.
Yeah.
And for him, it might have been 2022, 2021. Who knows at this point?
Yeah.
Let's talk about the safeties. Another duo of question. Here's mine. If DeMar Hamlin weren't hurt, Cole Bishop and DeMar Hamlin should be the starting safety combo.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and I think that too, Taylor Rapp, them coming out to say that Taylor Rapp had a knee injury that he's been nursing and trying to play through gives some context to how he's been, because he was always kind of a heat-seeking missile from the safety position, and he's looked tentative, slow. His change of direction seems like he's been lagging behind. if he's been playing with a bum knee all season, then it makes a lot of sense that that's what his play has looked like. Because it doesn't make sense for somebody. I think he's under 30 still, or just over 30.
Rapp is under 30.
Under 30, yeah. So it doesn't make sense for somebody under 30 with a clean bill of health on the injury report to have changed the way that they play and their efficacy so much from one season to the next, especially because late in the season last year he was coming on and looked like one of the strongest players on the team, to come into this season and just look so bad and take such terrible angles.
Oh, the angles, my God.
Oh yeah. Well, and that's exactly it. It's like, that's the kind of stuff you don't lose, right? Like, you don't just like lose that all of a sudden. I mean, we know that Poyer, in his seasons in Miami, or season in Miami, looked bad with his angles, but it was because of his athleticism. He was still taking the angle that a younger, faster version of himself could have made. And that looks a lot like what Rapp is doing, but the difference is age isn't the problem. I think it's the injury.
Yeah. I think too, this was the problem coming into the year. Rapp and Bishop, they have a skill set that is very similar to each other. They don't complement each other. They're both guys that we know play better when they're closer to the line of scrimmage. They're both box safeties, but we also know that McDermott like values variability and interchangeability with his safety play. So, I mean, we've seen Cole Bishop have a really rough start to the year in a lot of respects because he's playing a ton of free safety. But in college, that was just not what the book on him was. He is a box safety, drop down and cover one, kill slants as the robber. Like, that's what that dude does. And again, kind of hearkening back to our talk about Brady and the offensive scheme, I get what McDermott and Babich want out of this scheme, but you've got two guys, because their skill sets are not complementary, that cannot give you what you are seeking in the scheme. You are committed to pigeonholing them into those roles, as opposed to working with maybe what they do best. Because Rapp, I don't think he's playing great, but he also doesn't look like he trusts Cole Bishop, that Cole Bishop is going to be in the place where he needs to too. So he's trying to play and kind of hedge a little bit to cover up for what he thinks are mistakes he is anticipating from Cole, be it in communication, be it in coverage, be it in run fits, what have you. Like, Rapp doesn't look as comfortable playing next to Bishop as he does looking playing next to a guy like Damar Hamlin, who's far better in coverage and playing that center field role.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think it's kind of a little bit of a mismatch of the whole back. Well, to me, Rapp's problems might be injury based, but Rapp and Bishop's problems both might be coverage based. Benford has not been good. Like, he's close. He's close to his receivers, but he's giving up everything thrown towards him. His best skill has been in run fits, and that wasn't the reason they gave him a boatload of money, right? Benford has looked terrible. Trey White looks absolutely cooked. He's too slow to react to kind of complex routes, so he tends to get lost in coverage. That was never a problem with Trey White, but it has been recently. So with those pieces, I get how it all works together. It's all a symbiotic system. Taron Johnson also seems to be a step slower than he has been the past few years. So when your three corners in front of you as the safety pair are playing poorly, your partner in coverage is a second-year player who doesn't look very good or doesn't seem to have a good knack for it yet. Yeah, if you're the most experienced veteran coverage player on the field of the back five, every snap you're trying to figure out who you have to make right, who's doing the wrong thing, right? And so I could see him kind of, part of the reason he's been out of position is because he's trying to squeeze routes to help out either Trey White or Christian Benford while they're getting cooked. Yeah. I don't know if there's not an easy answer for fixing any of it, because it's all broken right now.
It is. I mean, the reality is you need to. The reality is you invested a premium pick in Cole Bishop, and he's probably the guy that's going to get the benefit of the doubt, which is why I ask, like, what's Jordan Hancock's deal? Because I feel like Hancock, with his versatility, his coverage chops, probably looks better in a pairing with Cole Bishop than Taylor Rapp does, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's true.
Yeah. Let's talk about run defense. You want to talk about run defense?
I sure do.
I think we're going to see them go back to playing more nickel. They've played a ton of base. They've played a ton of 4-3, 3 linebacker sets. I mean, at a clip that is, I think, number 4 in the league. I think they're over 26%. It's nuts for a team that plays 88% nickel in previous seasons. I think in the bye, McDermott and Babich are going to be like, F it. Let's go back to basics. If we're going to get diced up in the run game, let's at least do it in a way that is going to set up the guys we do have on the roster for better success, because this is what they were drafted for. This is what they were signed for, to fit in roles in this nickel defense, not in the base 4-3. And I think because of that, you're going to see far more adaptable rotations come in, with Cam Lewis coming in more, with Dorian Williams and Shaq Thompson coming in more to that 2 linebacker set. You're going to see far more effective rotations and obvious rundowns that'll maximize that nickel package. But I think they're going to throw the base 4-3 into the sun after the bye.
Well, God, we hope so. And that's absolutely right, is because having 3 linebackers on the field only matters if that extra linebacker is being more effective than your corner at stopping the run. That absolutely hasn't been the case. I trust, even having lost a step and being kind of a little bit later in his career, I still trust Taron Johnson better than whatever 3rd linebacker they're going to get, especially if the person he's replacing in that, lineup is Milano or Bernard. They have not looked good. And so, and even though they're probably not, because I think they're still preferred 2 linebackers, they want matchup style linebackers, are Milano and Bernard on the field in a nickel set. But geez, it's like we talked about this. We've talked about this so many times. Their stubbornness to play the players who are actually effective in deference to the thing that they think it should be
on both sides of the ball
is so terrible, right? Like, just like, they think that they shouldn't, or for whatever reason, they don't want to do under center play action passing. But we all know, everybody, the simplest of fans can look at it and be like, wow, that play really worked, right? Like, and it's the same thing with watching Shaq Thompson on the football field. Like, he is their best linebacker, far and away.
100%.
He should be starting every game. It doesn't matter how much money he's getting versus Bernard's contract or Milano's contract, for that matter. He should be starting every game at whichever position he'd prefer to play. And he's a veteran, so he has the capacity to know the defense, call the defense, communicate, get everybody lined up.
Give him the green dot, let him go. Yep, absolutely. I don't want to talk about the defense anymore, do you?
No, I'm done.
I'm so done. All right. Okay. Let's talk about, I kind of included this in the notes, dude, and I don't know if you want to hit this yet. I think it's tied into the trade deadline discussion for the Bills, because, and this was inspired by a random Threads comment that I saw about how the Bills may not be to an article. I think it was in the Buffalo News that said the Bills might not be able to be as active at the trade deadline as they want to be because of cap limitations. And one of the comments was, outside of Josh Allen, who the hell are we paying that we don't have enough cap room? Right. And I went and I love Spot Track. I love Over the Cap, because they'll both give you percentage of cap dedicated to certain position rooms and what the AAV, average annual contract value, to each of those position rooms has been promised. And dude, when I looked at the Bills cap commitments, I was blown away. But you can see very clearly why they don't have a lot of options at the trade deadline to go after. But they've obviously invested positions where they're not getting an ROI. As we know, they gave contract extensions to Shakir, Benford, Bernard, Rousseau over the course of the season. I think we could all agree that Shakir is playing the best out of that group, and even his performance has been a little bit on the decline this year. Their AAV in that wide receiver room, average annual value committed to their wide receivers, is the 14th highest in the league, top half of the league in the NFL. JJ, do they have a top 14 wide receiver in that room?
No.
Do they have a top 20 wide receiver in that room?
Still no. I feel like Khalil Shakir is at best between 25 and 30.
So that's taking into context, like, you have teams like Cincinnati that are paying 2 wide receivers $30 million a year, right? And they're not too far off from the Bills in total cap expenditures in the wide receiver room, or percentage of cap committed to the position. And this is the thing, and you touched on this earlier in the year. where the Bills have committed themselves to this upper middle class tier of contract expenditures. They don't have a lot of guys on rookie contracts that are producing right now. And they have a lot of guys that are average to slightly above average talent, making that upper middle tier money. And when we see each of these contracts come through, we're like, that's great value for that guy, right? Mm-hmm. Or, oh, wow, that Khalil Shakir deal. Like they're only paying him as the 35th highest paid wideout. But then when you bundle the 14th top contract here, the 15th top contract here, it adds up in nickel and dimes over time. Dude, the edge room is top 10 in AAV. We are not getting top 10 production out of that edge room. The cornerback room, because of how many vets they have signed and because they have tried and failed through Kair Elam, Dorian Strong, like they have not been able to maximize rookies that they have drafted in that position other than Benford, is number 6 in the league commitment of AAV, according to Spot Track for 2025. The reason why Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, AJ Brown are not options for this team to trade for from a fiscal perspective is they have so much money tied up in these positions already.
Yeah, no, they spend a lot of money on average to slightly above average players in all these positions. And the Moneyball approach works in situations where the aggregate of all your players is counted on every play at their best. And it's where they play their best every play, right? Like if you could guarantee that all the skill position players on your offense who make above middle of the pack money are going to deliver a middle of the pack rep or above middle of the pack rep on every snap, it's a worthwhile value. The problem is people who are just above average lose reps to elite talent more often than they win by a huge measure. They might lose 85% of their reps in man up coverage on a route run as a wide receiver because they're just above average. And so I think that, this is the biggest problem. And I think it's leveraged more in those positions that depend so heavily on one-on-one wins, like wide receiver, like edge rusher. What else? Any defensive lineman, really? Cornerback, right?
Number 10 in the league and committed AAV to that position, mostly because of Daquan Jones at Oliver's contracts, right?
Right. Yeah. So in all of those situations, if your player is a just above average talent and they're going to lose most of the reps to elite, you're wasting your money by not just having some scrub in there to breathe and hold a paycheck because they're losing the same amount of reps. Maybe not as terribly, but.
And, they've been given such a gift in the way that Josh Allen has structured this contract with this team. Right now, he is only, as far as percentage of cap taken up this season, he's only 11th in the league amongst active QBs. Like yes, you've got to pay him his money. And yes, that's a massive cap hit year after year. But relative to like what the Dolphins are paying Tua in both cash and cap every year, right. How the Joe Burrow extension was constructed in
Trevor
Cincinnati.
Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence.
Josh gave them pretty much the most team-friendly elite QB contract in the history of the league so they could be able to figure out other positions. And it just feels like a lot of bets, like you said, on high floor, low ceiling, safe but not elite, safe but not needle moving talent. And you got to wonder how long that strategy is going to continue to last.
It won't. And also their unwillingness to like kind of sell the farm to move up in the draft. A lot of the Brandon Beane apologists, including myself, has made the argument before that picking between 25 and 32 is not where you're going to be able to get a needle moving top wide receiver talent, top pass rushing talent, that you got to get up into the top 15, top 10. Yeah, that's true, but
do that then.
You do it right. Exactly. That's the point, is like this whole sense of we're going to trade down and get value and use the shotgun approach to try to get somebody from rounds 2 to 7 who's really going to, pop and make a difference. It's great that you can occasionally find a Khalil Shakir or a Christian Benford who I'm not completely out on, but I'm worried about. There's talented players down in the draft, but at such a much lower rate. We know year over year your Pro Bowlers are all going to be picked in the first round, right? Like for the most part.
Dude, it's tried and true. If you are going to commit this much cap space to veteran extensions, veteran free agent signings, and you're going to pay a QB what you're paying Josh Allen, you cannot afford to miss in the draft. And this is a team, this is a team that Bean is so good about walking into every draft year with extra draft capital. Mm-hmm. Like in 2024, the Keon Coleman Cole Bishop year, there is no reason in that year you needed to pick 10 rookies. There's no reason you need to make 10 draft picks. Yeah. You could have bundled up and done the Troy Franklin thing, like we were advocating for, bundled up and gone up and gotten a Tanner Bortolini. Both players who for their respective squads are starting to come around. Bortolini's been starting since he was a rookie for Indy. He's got his warts, but the reps are there and he's solid. And then Franklin is finding his footing in Denver with Bo Nix of all people, right? Yeah. Like, and
Brian Thomas Jr., he was in striking range. They could have put something together to go up and get him.
Would not have cost a lot based on where he fell. Yes.
And he, I believe, would make a difference in this offense. It would not be the same as a Keon Coleman, who's been kind of hit or miss and seems to be mismatched to the role that they want him to play.
Did you see and this will be a perfect transition to the trade deadline. So we talk about the cap commitment stuff, not so that we can rag on Brandon Beane and his ability to build a roster, because the floor of the roster is still very high. This is still a 10-win team because of how Beane has shored stuff up. But at this point, talking about the Bills as a 10-win team is no longer a point of pride, because they laid the expectation out at the beginning of the season that 10 wins without a Super Bowl was not going to be enough. They wanted to move up and get over the hump. We are showcasing this for two reasons. One, this does not look like a personnel set that's ready to get over the hump. But two, the way they have structured contracts, cash and cap, where they've committed money to this season and next season, is restricting them from really going after aggressively at this trade deadline for the positions they really need to, which is wide receiver, safety, and potentially cornerback, depending on what, Max Hairston looks like, So JJ, that being said, while they are restricted with what they can do, they can still do a couple of things. So what do you think the Bills will do? What do you want them to do? And what position do you think they're going to target?
All right. I don't think they will do anything.
I think the same thing.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to do anything. I don't think they're going to trade for anybody. I think that they may trade away AJ Epineza, but I don't think they're going to trade for anybody. They might even trade away Matt Milano if anyone would be willing to take him for a 7th rounder, right? Like, but they just don't have the depth, and they've had too many injuries to make me believe they're going to be sellers in any way, because they believe in, as they should, that they can compete for a Super Bowl this year. And so it's a little bit of a different landscape for them. So I could see Beane making a move, maybe Alec Anderson, because Jackson Hawes has panned out as an excellent, but Alec Anderson has been called up for game action to replace any of the 3 interior line spots. So unless it's selling away a depth piece because the deal is just too good and a team's calling, I don't see them doing anything, actually, because the cap isn't there. The viable talent isn't there. How about you? Is there anybody that you could see, worthwhile?
I think
Cam Taylor-Britt.
Maybe he's kind of a reclamation project at this point, right?
He's not good.
I see them doing more of a Poona Ford type of thing, which he was a signing at the trade deadline. I don't think he was a trade. Justin Simmons is out there. Stephon Gilmore is out there. There are some veteran pieces that you can add that are still available via free agency, where the cap hits would be something that you could structure under the Bills' current restrictions for 2025, not have the long-term commitment into 2026. I could actually see at the trade deadline them being veteran free agent signing guys, but Beane is so loath to give up draft capital these days. And listen, we just said it, like, even though there's not going to be a lot of viable roster spots for a rookie to take next year, they're going to have some holes, and Beane's going to need to address them in the draft again, because they're not going to have a ton of cap room to work with in 2026 either. So I don't think they're going to give up a ton of draft capital, but if they were willing to, I'd like to see them target potentially a safety. I mean, can we pry? Like I look at the Las Vegas Raiders, and I see Jeremy Chin playing really, really well. And he's a guy we've coveted in free agency for the past couple of years. Yep. Like, how's a 5th rounder, right?
Is he on the last year of his deal?
I believe he signed a 1-year deal with them. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So I think Chin's a possibility. I mean, if you are looking to upgrade at linebacker, how does a Jamal Adams strike you? He made the transition from a safety to linebacker, has played really well in Las Vegas. I just, for whatever reason, so here's the reason why I'm on Las Vegas Raiders. My son, Jack, who is perpetually the antagonist in my life, he wants to root for any team that is not the Bills, because he knows I like the Bills. Yeah,
that's a bummer. I'm so afraid of that.
Dude, if he wasn't 6, I would kick him out of the house, but I can't because he's 6. That's child abandonment. So I don't want to get arrested. Yeah, exactly. No, and I love him. He's your child.
You love him, right? Yeah.
So he goes to me. He's like, "Daddy, I'm going to root for 2 teams." I'm like, "What are those 2 teams, Jack?" He goes, "The Raiders and the Jets." And I'm like, both will bring you nothing but pain, I said. And I've got a friend named Jared who might want to talk you off the ladder, right?
Yeah, the Jets is a bad idea. We know someone.
But I've got like the NFL channel, so like I queue up Raiders games for him and stuff. So I've watched a lot of Raiders games. And Chin and Adams look great. They look great.
Yeah. Okay.
I'd like both of those guys, and they won't cost you a lot, and they're both on 1-year deals.
Okay. I can be convinced. I can be convinced of a lot of things. I think they need help.
I think they need help too. But listen, wide receiver is the big ticket. We went for Amari Cooper last year. I don't think the wide receiver market is as rife with hope as other areas of the trade market are for the Bills, just because of salary cap restrictions.
Right.
Do you see them making them play for a wide? I know you don't think they're going to do anything, so let me rephrase.
Yeah.
If they were able to squeeze out a wide receiver at the deadline, who would you want that person to be based on names that have been bandied about?
Well, if we're just going to play Fantasyland,
Man GM, early return.
Rashid Shaheed or Chris Olave from the Saints are like the only names that I'm even is one of the ones that people talk about. Jackson Smith and Jigma. Is he a possible? No.
Oh God, no. He's leading the league.
He's a cornerstone, right? Like
he's leading the league in yards. He's on pace to break Calvin Johnson's single season record. Seattle's not giving him up.
Yeah. So I mean, exactly that. Like there's no wide receiver out there that's not like a washed vet that I think the Bills, they might as well sign Tyler Lockett as a vet free agent.
He just got released from Tennessee, right?
Yeah, they might as well sign him if they're looking for somebody, because giving up a draft asset for some veteran who's pretty terrible is not the answer. And nobody with a lot of skills is available. I can guarantee that.
Because I don't think Olave and Shaheed are ultimately going to get dealt. I think New Orleans wants to keep both of them.
Well, they're young and talented. Like there's no reason to move on from them even if you're a team that's going to lose the season out. Like
homegrown products, and you're about to enjoy either the next 4 or 5 years on a rookie QB deal, right? Yep. So you re-sign those guys. Can I interest you into Romeo Doubs out of Green Bay? And here's the reason. He's in the last year of his contract.
Okay.
He is coming back from injury. His ESPN open score, 4th best in the league since his return. He is a deep threat. Yards per route run, not great. He's right around 1.92 yards per route run. Catches everything, right? And he is the go-to for Jordan Love in that offense. However, they've drafted Matthew Golden. They've got financial decisions to make about Reed and Watson. That's a very full wide receiver room. And Dowds is young. Is there a possibility that you could get a young downfield threat for Josh Allen to work with for like a 3rd, right?
I think you've just presented a reality to me that I had not considered, and I would 100% do that. I mean, watching Green Bay games and Romeo Doubs, who also just, I don't know why, I just like his name. It's a good name.
It's a fun name. Doubs. Yeah. It's a fun name.
Doubs.
It's one of those names.
Romeo, I mean... There's so many puns. There's so many things you could play off with that.
That's exactly where I was going with it. I'm like, dude, you're the pun analogy king on this pod.
Wherefore art thou Romeo? What can we please just start opening up, any Shakespeare references in our podcasting? Like then I've got a whole world. I was an AP English dude. I've got a world of Shakespeare references I can make if Romeo Dobbs is on this team.
Just do it. But here's what I think holds that deal back. Jordan Love really loves throwing to him. Yeah. That's like his security blanket, right?
Well, and that's the thing. Isn't it like third and Doubs is like what
that's what it is,
in Green Bay? And he is that team's Cole Bishop in his Cole
Beasley. I was just going to say the same thing. He is the Cole Beasley.
He's their Cole Beasley in his prime. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's a team it's an organization you've done business with before.
Yeah, true.
And I mean, if you pay him, you're not going to pay Watson. You're not going to pay Reed.
Right.
And then what are you going to do with Golden because he's looked pretty good in his rookie season. Like, what are you going to do with him down the road if you're going to commit big money to Doubs? So I think it could be a sneaky good move for the Bills to do. And it's not a name that Bills Mafia is like a sexy name for Bills Mafia. But you put him into this offense right away, unlike a Chris Olave, who is a true number one and is going to command targets to maximize value. You can drop Doubs into this offense. He fixes a lot of the ills you have across the alignment, and he's not going to command a ton of targets away from guys like Shakir or Kincaid.
He also strikes me as the type of player who wouldn't mind getting his hands dirty with gritty run blocking.
He comes from a Matt LaFleur offense. Yes.
It's a skill of his. Yeah.
Yes, without a doubt.
Yeah. So. I mean, you did it. You found a name that I would be like absolutely in on for a trade deadline, even for a third.
Yeah. I would do it for a third. Cause I mean, what the hell are we going to do with our third round pick? Right.
We're going to pick another Dwayne Carter.
Dude. Oh God. I love it. Can I just tell you though, Dwayne's Instagram is so entertaining because he does all these food spots about like fat dudes love to eat, right? He's a pretty good cook too. I like Dwayne Carter.
I think you've just identified what he'll do after he flames out of the league.
Jesus Christ.
He'll open a food blog.
That was not an intentional softball, but I nonetheless gave you one.
Well, and I'm being a jerk. I'm being kind of a bully. He's injured right now, but I just looking at him in preseason before the injury came up, I was like, whoops, he's not going to do it.
Oh man. All right. We are winding it down here, dude. Where do you want to go? I've got a couple of other areas we could go. Obviously, we got to eventually get to this Panthers game, but because it was the bye week, typically what we do when we're on our normal recording schedule is we will give a lay of the land for our listeners about where the rest of the AFC currently sits and how it could or could not impact the Bills when they come back from their bye. Do you want to do a little bit of that and then get into the Panthers?
Yeah, let's hit the kind of AFC as a whole in the league, and then do a very quick Panthers preview.
Sounds good. All right, Indianapolis Colts. Let's start there because they are currently the 1 seed in the AFC behind Danny Dimes, Daniel Jones, who looks absolutely resurgent with solid personnel around him and an innovative play caller in Shane Steichen. How nice that must be for Danny Dimes, who also, because of the innovative, creative play calling of his play caller, hits his first read on a 71% clip, which is highest in the league.
Yeah. Which it's like, it is just like, if anybody needs to know how much offensive coordinating and game planning matters, just look at that team. Yep. It's not like he magically became a super hyper elite talent at the quarterback position. It is that he has somebody in his corner who is creating a situation for his skill set where he almost can't get it wrong. Like finding the right answer with the football is easy in that offense.
Despite his best efforts, because I've watched a lot of Indy tape, and he'll still make 3 or 4 throws downfield a game that you're like, man, that should be a pick.
That's a turnover worthy play.
Right. But no, to your point, the scheme matters. It maximizes all of the things that Jones does well. Great complementary run game, stout offensive line. And they use play action to create opportunities across the middle of the field and the short to intermediate areas for their QB to make easy throws.
Well, and
God,
we do
play action.
No, let's just pause for a moment and talk about how Brian Daboll maybe isn't an offensive genius like he has he received the praise of being after QB whispering Josh Allen into an exceptional talent. I think that Josh Allen was going to be an exceptional talent regardless of who his offensive coordinator was, and Daboll rode his coattails to a head coaching job.
Okay. And listen, I like Daboll. Me and Logan talked about this during the bye week when he came on to do his radiating praise of Jackson Dart, which we both did. We both broke down Dart and we were really impressed. But I asked him, I'm like, dude, is Daboll your guy? And he's like, no. He's like, he said, I think what Dart does, like, he doesn't necessarily do outside of coaching, but he's definitely not doing it because of Daboll is doing anything unique. Dart is just playing off of his skill set and talent, and Kafka is doing a really good job designing that scheme.
Yep.
Is Brian Daboll the hot-headed, temperamental version of Adam Gase?
Oh, that is such an interesting way to go with this.
Gase only having ever been good with Peyton Manning, Daboll only ever having been good with Josh Allen. Is he simply just a more charismatic, more angry version of Adam Gase?
I mean, probably, with way less high on shrooms press conferences.
Daboll. I don't know, man. Daboll is maybe on LSD for some of his press conferences.
Okay, yeah. So they both like to take a psychedelic here and there before a press conference. That's fine too. That's not the extent of the, that's not the limitation of their, things in common. Like you said, elite quarterback gave them elite reputation, and they haven't been able to prove it anywhere else.
This is true. True. So yeah, it could be a real thing. But the Giants, JJ, are not in the AFC, nor are they competitors for the AFC. So moving on from Indy, we have a very familiar team to us, the Kansas City Chiefs, who that offense looks scary. And as we talked about earlier, they have again Andy Reid creatively reinventing himself as an offensive play caller, absolutely cooking in the run game at this point, dialing up play action at a record rate for him. I mean, this offense it looks like the same old Chiefs from an output standpoint, but when we actually look at what they're putting on film, it's just Andy Reid getting deep into his playbook in his bag, and they're doing stuff we have not seen this Chiefs team do in a very long time.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's basically they spent the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season with no appreciable run game, and then he just decided he was done with that and found a run game, and the play action to out of run sets to over the top fast wide receiver targets it's what we dream of in the Buffalo Bills fandom, right? Like, wow, that looks like a scheme that would work for us too.
That looks like fun for your generational QB.
Well, and it's just like, okay, we have Curtis Samuel. Khalil Shakir is not a deep speed guy, but he can do some things, deep crosser wise. It's just like, why do you have this ability? And seemingly we could do the same thing and we just choose not to, right? Like that's the thing. It's a choice.
And here's the thing: after because we're always trailing the historic wake of the Kansas City Chiefs. They trade Tyreek Hill and they win a Super Bowl, right?
Yep.
And they decide, you know what, we can just go with a collection of guys. And then immediately after they win their second Super Bowl without Tyreek Hill, they start to see sort of the margins fray a little bit on that plan, and they immediately try to get more help in for Patrick Mahomes. They're like, we do need more speed. We do need more versatility. Enter Rice as a draft pick. A couple years later, enter Worthy as a draft pick. And you see and signing of Hollywood Brown, and you see what they're building to. This just happens to be the first moment due to injury, due to legal issues, that these three guys have been on the field at the same time. But this is something they've been building towards for a couple of years. Now, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Just to jump in and interrupt you very rudely, and 2 wide receivers they traded up for.
Yes.
Anyway, go. Sorry.
One of them most notably with our guys, with the Bills, right? That'll always be a point of comparison for poor Keon Coleman, no matter where he goes. So then the Bills, they're like, you know what? The Chiefs did that. We could do that too. Trade Stephon Diggs everybody eats, have a bunch of guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they still seem to be slow to learn the lesson that the Chiefs learned while winning, that we have failed to learn while losing to the Chiefs, that maybe you actually do need some speed, versatility, and athleticism, and you can't just have a bunch of carbon copy cutouts of a bunch of slot guys to make up your wide receiver room, right? Man, it's killer stuff. Oh, by the way, I tried to talk about this with Brandon. He didn't care. Did you hear the Chiefs' new wide receiver motto?
No.
Everybody got to eat.
Oh, really? That's hilarious.
I shit you not. EGE. Yep. Travis Kelce was talking about it on his podcast. Him and Jason were breaking down the everybody got to eat mentality.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, you bastards. And that's the thing about the Chiefs. Even when they win, they're just trolling other people because that's the stuff that gets them up in the morning for their games, right? Yep. They are trolling the Buffalo Bills.
They're just here to kind of hang out until the postseason, right? Like the regular season is an afterthought.
I hate them. I really, they are now in hateable team category for me. Speaking of hateable teams, let's talk about the Patriots.
Yeah.
JJ,
very
you
nice
and
segue.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm cooking on the segues tonight. I hate the Patriots. We suffered for them for 20 years. This was supposed to be our time. And lo and behold, the Patriots have found their diet Josh Allen in Drake May. That's not an insult, Patriots fans. Like, he does everything. He does a lot of stuff that Josh does good. He's just a little bit smaller. He's a little bit younger. I don't think he's going to hurdle over guys when he's in the open field, right? But there is a lot of what he can do, particularly when pressured, that is a reminder of young Josh Allen. And they're really well coached. JJ, Brandon put this question to me. I'm going to put it to you. Is Mike Vrabel the best coach in the AFC East as we speak?
I don't think you could declare that at this time. And that's because Vrabel has a pretty spotty, if not kind of terrible postseason record. And I think that matters. If you're going to rate coaches, you have to rate them when it really matters in crunch time in the postseason. And Vrabel has had some front-running type teams he's brought into the postseason when he was with the Titans, who kind of puked all over themselves.
Sober assessment. Did he ever lose a game to the Chiefs with 13 seconds left on the clock?
No, he did not.
Okay.
Yes. So counterpoint point taken.
My assessment was, and it was not I did not launch into a fire McDermott spiral, but like when you look for culture builder, team organizer, maximizes talent on the roster. Right. Listen, man, we forget those Titans teams ravaged by injury season after season. Ryan Tannehill at QB. Like, when you ultimately look at what Vrabel was dragging into the postseason for those couple of years he made it with the Titans, dude, they were rosters that were a shell of themselves. That guy is able to maximize talent, unlike any coach, I think, currently in our division. And that is why I give him the edge over a guy like McDermott, who we just spent a good 45 minutes at the beginning of this pod talking about how they are so scheme rigid and not accepting enough of how they can scheme for talent, right? Scheme for their dudes. Dude, Vrabel lets his guys cook, right? Yeah. There is structure, there is organization, but all of it is taking into account what his guys on the field are going to succeed at, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I gave him the edge. But yeah,
you're not wrong. And but again, and I think that, in a reality where he has a really strong, because that's the other thing. That's the thing that I think, you're kind of talking me into it. Vrabel's also coaching. He's coached the Patriots to this point of the season to the first place in the AFC East with what I would still consider a pretty poor roster. They have not rebuilt this thing completely. Like, they hit on the QB, but their wide receiver core is like old and, not super, effective. And they've kind of patched it together in some ways on their offensive line. So yeah, I mean, I'm worried about it.
It's tough, right?
Yeah.
It's tough. It shouldn't be this much of a debate for a guy who's only been in the division for 6 games. Or 7 games. It shouldn't be this much of a debate.
But it's also, you're comparing it to the Buffalo Bills, who have Sean McDermott, who has done nothing but fail against the Chiefs in the playoffs with quote unquote his defense.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. Yeah. I mean, I hear there's a lot of chatter that, like, in the off season, if the Bills fail again in the postseason, or God forbid don't make it to the postseason, you don't fire McDermott. But you mandate, kind of like what Howie Roseman did with Nick Sirianni a couple of years ago. You need to bring in coordinators that are not you. You need to bring in coordinators that are anti your philosophy, right?
Yeah.
But we don't have the personnel to do that. No. Like this personnel has been built for McDermott's system. Yep. You're not going to bring in like a Jesse Minter, or you're not going to bring in like Mike Flores, and all of a sudden you're going to have this high blitz man coverage scheme, right?
You don't have the talent for it.
You don't have the talent for it, right? It's not going to be that easy. Like McDermott and McDermott's DNA is up and down this roster. It's not just about changing out the coordinators at this point, right? Yeah, man. But the Patriots are in first place. They've got a cupcake schedule moving on. They are not a great team, to your point. This is a team with some holes, but they are the ones that the Bills need to chase at this point.
Yep.
Steelers, I think we can just say that the defense is still pretty scary. Aaron Rodgers is going to throw 2 or 3 pickable balls a game. And if you're the Buffalo Bills, you got to take advantage of that, right?
Yeah, you got to catch those balls.
Any other also Rans you want to talk about? Like there's the Chargers. Their offensive line is kind of a mess. It might get healthy. Bo Nix only really seems to play for 12 good minutes a game. Yeah. Although if it's the fourth quarter he had against the Giants where he puts up 33 points, that is kind of scary, right?
He's such a high variance quarterback. He seemingly can do the Josh Allen last 5 minutes against the Ravens in any 9 to 10 minute span of any game. Yep. It's just the consistency, and it's the same thing. I mean, he's still young, so he has talent, and I think that he's probably going to be pretty good. I mean, I don't have much to say about any of those other teams. I think other than the season is long, right? Like we saw a lot of teams 6, 7, 8 games into the season last year who you're like, oh, they're toast, they're cooked. Even wasn't the Chiefs were in like pretty poor position in the first 4 or 5 games of the season and turned it around, and so the Ravens, I think, are the team that I'm the least worried about because the Bills have a head-to-head against them, and with Lamar Jackson's injury and with some of the other injuries they've piled up, they look like they're pretty vulnerable in their own division. They're at the bottom of their own division right now. So it's a matter of, as Lamar Jackson, I think he's supposed to come back this weekend. We'll see. But if he's slow to come back, or God forbid for them, he injures himself again or re-aggravates something, they're in tough shape of making the postseason.
Dude, yeah. Oh, I said Mike Flores. I meant Brian Flores.
Brian Flores. I thought you did. I was like, I just assumed that you just had like so much more coaching knowledge than I did. I was like, I don't know who Mike Flores is. Isn't that a guy on like Sports Talk?
If I wanted to get fancy, I'd have thrown out Kelvin Shepard, who's doing an amazing job with
that's
Detroit.
Not too fancy because I tracked that guy's whole career, and he's been awesome. He's with the Lions.
Goods. Yeah. That guy is the goods. Yep. Oh my God. God, I wish we had some of these coaches. I know. Oh my God. Anyways, all right. Yeah, I agree. Are you ready to move into a very quick preview of the Carolina Panthers? Because we've been cooking here for a while, and it's time to land this plane. Yeah. All right, man. Carolina Panthers. I'm just going to give you the overalls on this one. We'll talk about some quick matchups here. I mean, listen, the Bills are favored by 7 in this game. F you, Vegas. That's all I have to say. Stop giving the Bills these big spreads. The over-under is a little bit lower than it has been in the past few Bills games, 46.5. This is an indication to me that for whatever reason, based on no proof whatsoever of Buffalo Bills play, that they think they're going to hold the 4-3 Carolina Panthers to a lower scoring affair on defense. Listen, man, the Panthers are plucky. They're 3-1 in close games decided by 1 score or less. And I mean, they've got some dudes, Derek Brown, on the defensive side, Rico Dowdle, Chuba Hubbard, whether or not it's Dalton or Bryce Young. Dalton's going to get the ball out of his hands quick. I actually think that's a slightly worse matchup for the Bills.
It's one of those situations where people looking at the game and going like, oh, the Bills are going to pull a backup QB for this one. I don't know if that's better.
I don't think it's a good thing. Yeah, I don't think it's a good thing.
I think a young Bryce Young is a little bit of a better matchup for the Bills and for McDermott's defense than Andy Dalton, who's just going to try to deal to the best answer with the football as fast as he can. Mm-hmm. And that is exactly the kryptonite for this defense is like they do not have press man capabilities. They do not have tight coverage within the first 3 or 4 seconds of a play structure. And that is dice you up territory for this team.
Dice you up and then run you with 2 really capable running backs. And listen, man, the formula that has beaten the Bills the past couple of weeks, shut down James Cook, shut down the run, and make the Buffalo Bills wide receiver room beat you.
Yeah.
The Panthers can absolutely replicate. They have allowed only a 29.6% success rate on opposing team rushes this season. Yes. That is second only to the Cleveland Browns. This is a team that lives off stuffing the run. They've got J.C. Horn on the outside. They've got some plucky other guys in that secondary. And this is a team that's competing for their division. They're looking to go 5-3. And you listen, the Buffalo Bills are a lot of these teams' Super Bowl. They're their measuring stick game. And this is another team that the Bills are going to be playing that's going to come in with high energy, a young coach, lots of talented pieces around with a scheme that matches. I think this one's going to be trouble for the Bills.
Well, it's in some ways it's a lot like, this feels a lot like the Atlanta Falcons in that this is a team that's been picking in the top 10 for the past several years, and some of those young talented top 10 players are starting to come into their own. I think that it was the beat reporter for the Panthers who was on One Bills Live who said that J.C. Horn looked like he was playing bored this season because they just weren't throwing at him. And then when the Jets chose to throw at him, he bagged 2 interceptions in the second half last week. So like it's not if you're asking what things are bad for the Buffalo Bills offense, it's teams that are good at stuffing the run and teams that have elite outside corners. And that's it. And end of list. Then you have Nick Scourton, who looks like he's a steal of a pickup where they got him in the draft, coming off the edge, It's one of those things. I don't know if you get this, but I get this all the time where I'm just like, is Brandon Beane like really, really bad at drafting? Because like all these teams are getting elite. You know what I mean? Like
I know what you're saying.
We always praise him for being able to find solid role playing, contributing players who are starting caliber in any round of the draft. But it just seems like the Bills never, other than maybe Dalton Kincaid, it's like they don't ever find a stud. Josh Allen, James Cook, Dalton Kincaid, end of list. Like you could say Ed Oliver is well above average, is in the top tier defensive tackles individual talent wise, but he was like the 8th or 9th pick in the draft. Like that's where he's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. No, without a doubt. Yeah. I don't. We've gone so negative in this pod. I don't. Listen, man, I've said listen, man, like 12 times in this. I'm like, because I'm trying to talk myself into
believing
take.
in this team. I'm in such a dark place.
I know. I'm not saying listen, man, to you. I'm literally coaxing myself like, hey, listen, man.
Listen. It can be okay.
Yeah, it could be okay. I mean, the reality of the success of this team has been that they've been to the playoffs in consecutive years. Not it's been a run of success we haven't seen since you and I were kids with this team, right? And that is not divorced from the GM's roster building ability, right? At some point, yes, we've got a generational QB, but other stuff's got to work around him. And Beane has made more stuff work than he has not worked. I think the past 2 years of drafts, you could even go 3 if you wanted to, it's been lean. That 24 draft, listen, you cannot afford to whiff on 10 picks. No. If you are paying a QB like this, if you are signing guys to mid-level extensions like you're signing, like the Bills are, you cannot afford to whiff on 10 picks. But if you take the totality of Beane's draft history, he's built a roster that's won 5 straight AFC championships and has been on the cusp of a Super Bowl. That is good GMing generally, right?
Fine, you're right.
All right, but yes. And listen, if you were to give maybe the better way to posit your question.
Listen, man. Listen.
I know. I'm like, listen, now I'm talking myself out of it. If you were to give Brandon Beane the amount of top 10 picks that, like, let's say the Falcons had,
sure.
Do you have the confidence in Beane that he would be able to identify the level of talent needed to build a superstar roster? That's maybe a better question, because we know across 7 rounds he's a great drafter.
Sure.
But in those premium picks, those first 100 picks, he's had a lot. That's where almost all of his misses are. Yeah. So if Brandon Beane were to draft in the top 10, do we have any confidence that he could draft an elite roster? Maybe that.
So let's look at his top 10 draft picks. Ed Oliver, Josh Allen. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah.
Those are the only 2.
Yeah, I mean, but let's like expand upon that to other first round picks. Kaiir Elam.
See, but why would we? Because when he took Kaiir Elam, if he was in the top 10, 20s, if he was in the top 10, he would have had J.C. Horn.
This is true, but would he have drafted J.C. Horn? That's
we don't know.
I know.
We don't know, man. We don't know because he's never been there.
But we should know.
Yeah,
we should know. We should know that if you're in the top 10, you would draft Jamar Chase.
Right. Yeah.
And not like Nelson Aguilar.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. It's like, it's the what if machine. Like, can we go back and give the Bills a top 5 selection in the past 3 years and see what they take?
It's so unhelpful. It's so unhelpful. All right, let's get off this downward spiral. All right, let's do our own. Oh, you go ahead. Oh, I was going to do another fun segue.
Is this go for it. I don't want to break that.
So, but speaking of what if machines, what if the Bills end up losing this game to the Carolina Panthers?
To mark the first time that Sean McDermott has lost off of bye, and the first time in his entire tenure with the Bills that he's had a 3-game losing streak. Those are the 2 things that would, I mean, at that point, I think like there are parts of Bills Mafia that literally fold up their folding tables and put them away. Like they're not even jumping through anymore. They're just like, they slowly wipe off their Bills face paint and like put on like a buttoned up shirt and like go to their office job.
Oh man. Oh my God. I think the Bills are going to win, but in the range of outcomes for this game, I mean, I think a loss is higher probability than Vegas wants to admit.
Oh, I think so too. I think it's completely reasonable. I'm in a world where it's a coin flip. Like I don't think there's any guarantee that the Bills are going to pull this one out. I think that it's a situation where in the same ways that the defense is built in a way that perfectly counteracts the Bills offense, their offense is built in a way that absolutely destroys the Bills defense. Mm-hmm. 2 capable runners and Chuba Hubbard and Rico Dowdle, wide receivers, a solid wide receiver core, the best tight end from this entire draft class who was picked in the 5th round so far, right?
Yep.
Out of Notre Dame, Mitchell Evans. So it's a situation where like you look at this team and it's like, I can see why they're on a 3-game heater and just chomping at the bit to play somebody who's considered a contender, so that they can validate their rise. And so I am in no way chalking this one up.
Michael Hoyt, Larry Ogunjobi, potentially Max Hairston could see snaps, could see reps in this game. And these are the reinforcements we have been told, be patient, wait till we have all of our guys back on defense. Terrell Bernard limited in practice, Matt Milano limited. Rapp did not practice. I'm actually okay with that if he doesn't play at this point. I'm ready to see Jordan Hancock in that role.
Yeah.
But if
joke's on you, it's going to be Jordan Poyer in that role. Best I can do is a 32-year-old Jordan Poyer.
Jesus Christ. Oh my God. I know, and Bills fans are clamoring for Gabe Davis too. Yeah. Have we forgotten how things ended with both of these guys? But anyways, what if any impact do you think Hoyt, Ogunjobi, and Hairston may have if, let's assume, all 3 get snaps?
Ogunjobi minimal. I think he was rotational at best. Mm-hmm. I think he's probably just a hair better than Jordan Phillips at this point in his career. So Ogunjobi is maybe an okay contribution, but not nothing, no needle mover there. I could see Hoyt showing up just from the way he looked in preseason, showing up out of the gate, bagging 2 sacks and looking and like giving everyone in Bills Mafia this like bright ray of hope that we have a defensive stud that we found on the free agent heap, right?
Second coming of Bruce Smith.
Right. Yeah. I can see the better comp, and this is going to dig pretty deep back into the annals, is second coming of Bryce Paup.
Ooh, okay, yes.
Defensive player of the year.
Mm-hmm.
He benefited from being lined up across from or around Bruce Smith. I see that situation where defenses are paying a lot more attention to Joey Bosa and a now healthy Greg Rousseau. And then Hoyt has the opportunity to kind of like, especially if he's rushing on the interior or they bump Rousseau inside, man, Hoyt could eat up at that point.
Do you think they're good? I mean, the beauty of Hoyt in the LA defense was that they lined him up pretty much everywhere. He didn't take a ton of traditional edge snaps. He played a lot of outside linebacker. I think the Rams ran a 3-4 last year base defense.
Yep.
But he was basically able to be that fourth or fifth pass rusher or provide you with that odd man front from the outside linebacker positions. Do you, I mean, and I just, earlier in the pod, I said, you know what? I think the Bills are done with base. Maybe they go to nickel. But do you think they run more of a quote unquote base package with Hoyt as like the Sam linebacker, right? And then all of a sudden he becomes the fifth man on your front. And now you've got Rousseau, Hoyt rushing from the same side, Bosa rushing from the other to create opportunities?
I can absolutely see that, because I think in the same way that I think the defensive design Babich had in mind when he started the season was that, and it was let's use Dorian Williams. Remember, like Dorian Williams got the start in the 4-3 to start the season, played very poorly for the first 2 weeks, was taken out of favor and then brought back because of injuries, and has played better, thankfully. But I think that the initial defensive design was, we're going to get by with Dorian Williams in that 4-3 position as like the positionless rusher type, and until we get Hoyt back, because I think that's how they intend to use him, exactly how you described. And in the same way that it was going to be like, oh, Hairston's on an island, Benford is playing the QB watch and zone, they had to have Benford play on an island with Trey doing the QB watching zone. It's not worked, right? Like, I think that's part of the whole, hey, everybody have patience, the reinforcements are coming, right? Is because the sense is for this defense, when we get Hoyt and Hairston back, and then even Ogunjobi to some extent to eat up, because Ogunjobi is good in terms of like that Daquan Jones hole plugger, keep bodies, keep your linebackers clean place. That's all he did when he was with the Steelers. And so I can see him, the Bengals. I can see him playing in that kind of role. And so, yeah, I would say absolutely expect to see more 4-3 with Hoyt, but expect it to be a mix simulated pressure. So 4 guys are coming, but it's not the 4 guys that you think.
Yeah. And I think that could be enough to get a veteran QB like Andy Dalton off his timing, or if Young, and I don't think Young's playing, I think they've already ruled him out, or a younger QB. I think back to the Michael Penix game, who looked completely unbothered by our pass rush, enough to get a young QB at least off his spot in the pocket, right? So I do think Hoyt could, if used the right way, could potentially move the needle a little bit on this defense. And dude, he's a great run defender. Like, he is a plus run defender as well. And God knows they could use that. Like, I'd rather him, even if they're only running a 2 linebacker set, I'd rather him fit run gaps than like Cole Bishop running down to crash like a 290-pound tackle or something like that,
Yep. Absolutely.
So, yeah. Yep. So, all right. You want to get to prediction sure to go wrong?
Let's do it.
All right. Let's do it, man. All right. So, I mentioned already spread. I mentioned over under. I'll give them to you again one more time. The Bills mystifyingly favored by 7 points in this game on the road in Carolina. Over under on this 46.5. JJ, score prediction.
Bills -7 and the over under is what?
46.5.
Okay, 46.5. I'm gonna lean on history and McDermott being excellent off the bye, and McDermott never having 3 losses in a row and getting this team, oriented and focused for this one. But I don't think the Bills win by 7. I think that it's going to be a little bit closer of an affair. So I'm going to say Bills 27, Panthers 21.
Ooh, I've got the same Panthers score. I have a different Bills score.
Okay.
I've got Bills 24, Panthers 21.
Okay.
We have seen the Bills and we gloss over this a little bit, but we have seen the Bills come off the bye and kind of sleepwalk through the first half of their returns. And I think with a young, plucky team like that, that's going to be enough to put the Bills potentially behind. I think the game script for this is going to be like other Bills game scripts we have seen, where the first half is infuriatingly close, and then the Bills eventually wake up in the second half and slowly begin to pull away. But there's only so many times if you're the Bills you can play with fire in that way. Mm-hmm. I hope I'm wrong. That's why we call it prediction sure to go wrong. I want this to be a 50-point blowout, but part of me too is like, maybe the Bills are thinking about the Chiefs after this game.
Yeah. I think they absolutely are looking ahead. I don't think the Bills, no matter what they say about, it's a 1 week league, we're going to take everything as it comes. There's no way they're not already, there's no way they didn't do some install in preparation to that Chiefs game while over the break.
There's no
This
way.
is an NFC team. It's a team potentially playing with their backup quarterback. Even if it is Andy Dalton, we think that's a worse matchup. There's bound to be things that the Bills think they can get done here. But yeah, I think that seeing people in Bills Mafia commenting like, oh, they're going to wipe the floor with the Panthers and move on because, look for it. Don't expect to see that. This isn't the Panthers from Bryce Young's rookie year where they were looking to go winless, because they had no offensive line. This is a team that, has really pulled things together in a lot of ways.
Well, and I think we undersell McDermott's place in Panthers history. This is a team that does not have a ton of history relative to a lot of other teams in the league, but McDermott was a beloved defensive coordinator that helped take them to their only Super Bowl that they've ever been to.
Yeah.
Brandon Beane played a huge role in this front office and building that squad. Like, these are two guys coming in on the opposing side that are members of your history. And as an organization, I am sure there's going to be some extra juice in this game to yes, honor these legends, but also show them it's a new era and turn the page on them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So there's a lot, but I think 24-21 Bills. Yeah, okay. That's where I'm at. All right. I've got one prop for you.
I've got one for you too.
Okay. You go first.
All right. Michael Hoyt plus minus half a sack.
I don't think anyone on this team can get sacks, so I'm going to say under. I'm positive. I think there's upside to Hoyt. I'm more curious about where his alignment on the field is going to be, because if they're just going to put him in a traditional backup edge role, I think they're absolutely wasting any creativity or imagination they could have behind his placement. So, but I don't think anyone's team can get a sack. So, okay. Yeah, that's just where I'm at.
that's just how little I trust them to do anything.
All pressure, no sacks, baby. That's been our motto since 2018.
That's right.
Yeah. So, all right. Here's mine. Max Harrison. Go ahead.
Dan, there are other ways to affect the quarterback.
I never played football, so call me a man of simple tastes. I think the best way to affect the quarterback is to knock him on the ground as much as you can and create loss of yardage. But what do I know?
Well, as a non-football player,
I'm just a dumb podcaster. All right, here's my prop bet for you, and then we will mercifully end this episode. Max Harrison over under 25.5% of the snap share.
Ooh. 0.5% snaps. I'm gonna say this is I hate saying this because I hate this so much. I'm gonna say under, and worse yet, I'm gonna say he's inactive.
Yeah, I'm saying the same thing. I think he's a healthy scratch, which means he's almost certainly going to be a healthy scratch for the Chiefs game.
Yep.
And I think it's absolutely the wrong thing to do. But again, what do I know? I'm just a dumb podcaster.
Just a dumb podcaster. I don't know why. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. You're right. We should, when wins matter, keep our, first round talented CB and bubble wrap.
Yep, absolutely. But I think I think it goes hand in hand. I think if he is a healthy scratch for this game, there is no way his debut is against the Kansas City Chiefs. No, there's no way.
Yeah, and I think he's a healthy scratch for this game. I don't think he debuts against the Chiefs, and I think that their plan, their strategy, and like again, we're just dumb podcasters, but it's really important that they keep him healthy for when they miss the playoffs.
Oh man, that's a podcast in and of itself. Like what happens if they miss the playoffs? Yeah. What happens if they lose in the wild card round? Yeah.
To the Patriots.
To the Patriots. What if the Patriots go on a Washington Commanders like run to the AFC Championship this year? I mean,
win it, and they win against the Chiefs as the only team since like what 2020 when the Bengals did it to do that.
If Drake May plays the Chiefs in the postseason and beats them on his first try, dude, like can't even
make words from that.
No. I can't even. We need to end this. Yeah. This is we're done. Yeah. We're done.
It's getting too bleak, too dark.
Oh my God. Well, all right. Yep. I'd like to say it was fun, but goddamn, man, that was a rough note to end on. For all of you still, for whatever reason, listening at home, why would you be?
For whatever reason. Yeah.
Like, share, and subscribe wherever you get your pods. We are on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and as always, go Bills.
Go Bills.